The orbital defense station hung like a silent sentinel above Earth when the first warning came. Commander Soren Drake stood at the observation deck, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the alien vessel materialize from the darkness of space. It wasn't like anything humanity had encountered before, a massive construct of living metal and crystalline structures that pulsed with an inner light. "Sir, the vessel is hailing us," Lieutenant Walsh reported, her voice steady despite the tension filling the command center. Soren nodded, his gray eyes never leaving the alien ship. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. "Open the channel." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a figure that made even the seasoned commander take a step back. Standing nearly 9 feet tall, covered in biomechanical armor that seemed to breathe with its wearer, was a being that radiated pure power. Its iridescent scales shifted colors in the light, and its 4 eyes studied Soren with an intensity that felt almost physical. "I am Nexthra of the Valdari Dominion," the creature spoke, its voice a harmonic blend of tones that seemed to resonate in Soren's chest. "Your species has drawn our attention." Soren straightened his stance, meeting those alien eyes without flinching. "Commander Soren Drake of Earth's United Defense Force, may I ask what kind of attention we've drawn?" Nexthra's upper lip curled, revealing rows of metallic teeth. "Your kind fascinates us, Commander. A species so physically inferior, yet you've managed to expand across your solar system. We've watched your progress with curiosity." "We're full of surprises," Soren replied diplomatically, though his hand instinctively moved closer to his sidearm. "Though I'm curious why the Valdari Dominion would send such an impressive warrior for a mere observation." The alien warrior's armor shifted, plates realigning like scales on a serpent. "Because, Commander Drake, we believe your species holds something that belongs to us, something ancient, something powerful." Soren's mind raced through classified reports, secret projects, archaeological discoveries. Nothing matched what the alien was suggesting. "I'm afraid I don't follow." "Your kind has a saying," Nexthra said, taking a step closer to the holographic projection. "Actions speak louder than words. Allow me to demonstrate." Before Soren could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. "Sir," Walsh shouted, "they're deploying something. Energy readings are off the charts." Soren watched as smaller craft emerged from the Valdari vessel, their designs just as organic and alien as their mothership. But what caught his attention was the warrior's expression, not one of aggression or triumph, but of careful observation. "This is a test," Soren realized aloud, meeting Nexthra's gaze again. "You're not here to attack us, you're here to see how we respond." For the first time, something like approval flickered across the alien's features. "Perhaps you are not as dim as some suggested, Commander. Yes, this is a test. How your people react in the next few moments will determine much about your species' future." The smaller craft began moving in complex patterns, creating what appeared to be a net of energy around the station. Soren's tactical training screamed that they were being boxed in, but his instincts told him something else was at play. "Commander," Walsh whispered, "weapons are charged and ready." Soren raised his hand, signaling her to wait. "Tell me, Nexthra, what happens if we fail this test?" The alien warrior's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Then you prove those who doubt your species correct, and we take what we seek by force. But if you pass—" A pause, heavy with possibility. "If you pass, Commander Drake, your species might just earn a place among the stars that few would have thought possible." Soren Drake had made countless decisions in his military career, but none quite like this. As he stood there, watching the dance of alien ships around his station, he knew his next move would echo through human history, one way or another. The question was, what move would prove humanity's worth to a species that could crush them like insects? And more importantly, what were the Valdari really after? Soren's fingers flew across the holographic controls as he studied the pattern of Valdari ships surrounding his station. Each vessel pulsed with that same otherworldly energy, creating a web that grew tighter by the second. But something about their formation nagged at his tactical mind. "Sir," Walsh called out, They're transmitting some kind of signal through the energy field. It's interacting with our systems. Nexthra's massive form remained motionless in the holographic projection, those four eyes fixed on Soren with predatory focus. Time grows short, Commander. How will you respond to this challenge? Soren noticed something peculiar about the energy readings. The pattern wasn't random, it was searching, like a key trying different combinations in a lock. You're not testing our military response, he said slowly, understanding dawning. You're testing our comprehension. A slight shift in the alien warrior's stance was all the confirmation he needed. Lieutenant Walsh, Soren commanded, run a comparison between their energy pattern and all known frequencies in our database. Focus on archaeological findings from the past century. Sir, Walsh questioned, but her fingers were already moving. The Valdari ships continued their dance, but Soren could sense Nexthra's growing interest. Your species' reputation for insight serves you well, Commander, but understanding is only the first step. Data streamed across Soren's display as Walsh's search progressed. Then something caught his eye, a pattern match from an expedition in the Atacama Desert 50 years ago. An underground chamber with walls covered in symbols that pulsed with their own light, defying all attempts at power source detection. The Atacama artifacts, Soren said. That's what you're looking for. Nexthra's armor rippled, plates shifting like liquid metal. The Chamber of Awakening, as our ancestors named it. One of many seeds planted across the galaxy, waiting for worthy species to bloom. And now you think it's responding to something, Soren continued, pieces falling into place. That's why you're here, not to take it, but to see if we've activated it. The alien warrior's secondary eyes narrowed. Your grasp of the situation is impressive, Commander, but you still haven't answered our challenge. Soren studied the energy web again, seeing it with new understanding. It wasn't a weapon, it was a key, and the Valdari were waiting to see if humanity could recognize the lock. Walsh, he ordered, transmit the frequency pattern from the Atacama chamber. Match it to their carrier wave. Sir, that's classified data, she protested. The security protocols will be less relevant if we fail whatever test this is, Soren finished. Do it. As Walsh worked, Nexthra moved closer to the holographic barrier between them. You risk much, sharing such knowledge with an unknown species. Sometimes the greatest risk is taking no risk at all, Soren replied, watching as the frequencies aligned. The effect was immediate. The energy web surrounding the station flared with brilliant light, and patterns identical to those found in the Atacama chamber began appearing in the space between the Valdari ships. Most interesting, Nexthra rumbled. You not only discovered the chamber but managed to record its awakening frequency. Few species have achieved this. The real question, Soren said, is what happens now that we have. The alien warrior's expression shifted into something almost resembling respect. Now, Commander Drake, we begin the true test. Your species has proven it can recognize the key, but can you understand what it unlocks? Before Soren could respond, new data began flooding the station systems. Star charts, mathematical formulae, and symbols unlike anything human eyes had seen began filling every available screen. By the stars, Walsh breathed, staring at the cascading information. What you see, Nexthra explained, is the legacy of the precursors, those who came before both our species. They left these tests across the galaxy, waiting for races worthy of their knowledge. Soren's mind raced with the implications. And the Valdari, you're what guardians of these tests? We are those who passed our own test generations ago, the warrior replied. Now we watch, we wait, and we challenge others who might be ready. The real question, Commander Drake, is whether humanity is prepared for what comes next. The stream of data continued, and Soren realized this was just the beginning. The first contact wasn't just a test, it was an invitation. One that would either elevate humanity to new heights or prove they weren't ready for the greater galaxy's mysteries. Deep within the orbital station's research lab, Soren hunched over streams of data while Nexthra loomed nearby. the alien warrior's presence filling the room like a storm about to break. Holographic displays danced with symbols and equations that seemed to shift and change the longer one stared at them. Your species decodes quickly, Nexthra observed, secondary eyes tracking Walsh as she worked at a nearby console. But understanding and wisdom are different creatures. Soren rubbed his temples, fighting off a headache. The precursor data was unlike anything he'd encountered. It seemed to operate on principles that defied conventional physics. These equations, they're not just mathematical formulas, are they? They're more like instructions. The beginning of understanding, Nexthra confirmed. The precursors did not believe in giving answers freely. Each solution must be earned. Walsh's console chimed, drawing their attention. Commander, I think I've isolated a pattern in the data stream. It's similar to DNA sequencing, but far more complex. Soren moved to her station, studying the display. The sequences twisted and folded in impossible ways, forming structures that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. It's not just information about the precursors, he realized. It's information about life itself. The fundamental code of existence, Nexthra rumbled, armor shifting restlessly. The precursors believed that any species worthy of their legacy must first understand the building blocks of all things. A warning klaxon suddenly blared through the station. "Sir," Walsh called out, "energy spike from the Atacama chamber, the patterns, they're changing." On the main display, live feed from the underground chamber showed the ancient symbols pulsing with increasing intensity. The walls themselves seemed to be shifting, revealing new layers of complexity beneath. "The chamber responds to understanding," Nexthra explained, all four eyes fixed on the feed. "As you decode, it reveals more, but be warned, not all revelations are welcome." As if in response to the warrior's words, the data stream suddenly shifted. The elegant equations were replaced by something darker, images of worlds burning, civilizations falling, entire species being erased from existence. "What is this?" Soren demanded, turning to face the alien warrior. "History," Nexthra replied simply. "The precursor's legacy is not purely scientific, it is also a warning." The images continued, showing species after species discovering the chambers, accessing their knowledge, and then destruction. Some fell to internal strife, others to external threats, and some simply vanished without explanation. "How many?" Soren asked quietly. "How many species have found these chambers?" "Thousands," Nexthra answered. "How many survived their discoveries? Far fewer." Walsh's hands trembled slightly as she worked. "But the Valdari survived. You passed your test." "We endured," the warrior corrected. "There is a difference. We learned that knowledge without wisdom brings only ruin. Power without purpose leads to destruction." Soren studied the continuing stream of data, seeing it with new eyes. "This isn't just a test of our scientific understanding. It's a test of our species' character." "Now you begin to truly comprehend," Nexthra said, moving closer to the displays. "The precursors left more than knowledge. They left a choice, one that each species must make for themselves." The station shuddered as another energy pulse emanated from the Atacama chamber. The symbols on its walls were now moving continuously, like living things trying to break free of their ancient prison. "What choice?" Soren asked, though part of him already knew the answer. "Whether to continue," Nexthra replied solemnly. "With full knowledge of the consequences, knowing what happened to those who came before, you must decide if humanity is ready for what comes next. Because once certain thresholds are crossed, Commander Drake, there is no turning back." The warrior's armor pulsed with inner light as it continued. "The real test is not whether you can understand the precursor's knowledge. It is whether you know when not to use it." The Atacama chamber's energy readings had reached critical levels, its ancient walls now humming with power that threatened to tear reality apart. Inside the orbital station, Soren faced a decision that would determine humanity's fate. "The chamber's containment won't hold much longer," Walsh reported, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic displays. "Whatever's happening down there, it's accelerating." Nexthra stood motionless, the warrior's biomechanical armor reflecting the pool's emergency lights. Your species stands at the crossroads, Commander Drake. The chamber senses your understanding growing. It offers what all species seek, power beyond measure. Soren studied the data streams, watching as equations resolved themselves into terrible possibilities. The precursor's knowledge offered everything: clean energy, faster than light travel, cellular regeneration, even mastery over gravity itself. But each solution carried a price written in extinction-level events. These civilizations, Soren said, gesturing to the historical records still flowing across the screens, they all made the same choice, didn't they? They took everything the chambers offered. Knowledge is a poison few can resist, Nexthra replied. The promise of advancement, of superiority, it blinds them to the cost. Another tremor shook the station as the chamber's power spiked again. Warning signals blared as systems struggled to compensate for the energy waves rippling through Earth's atmosphere. "Sir," Walsh called out, "I'm getting reports of similar reactions from archaeological sites worldwide. Whatever's happening, it's not just the Atacama chamber. They're all activating." Soren's mind raced. How many chambers are there on Earth? "More than you have discovered," Nexthra answered. "The precursors were thorough in their seeding. Each chamber contains different aspects of their knowledge. Together, they offer everything a species could desire. And destroy them in the process," Soren finished, pieces clicking into place. "It's not just about whether we can handle the knowledge, it's about whether we can admit when we're not ready for it." The warrior's 4 eyes focused on him with renewed intensity. Few species reach this understanding before it's too late. Their hunger for advancement overwhelms their capacity for restraint. Alarms blared as new data poured in. The chamber's walls had begun to dissolve, revealing machinery that defied physics technology that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Commander," Walsh whispered, "if those chambers fully activate—" "I know," Soren cut her off, straightening his shoulders as he made his decision. "Nexthra, you said the Valdari survived their test. How?" The warrior's armor shifted, plates realigning as if responding to some unspoken tension. "We chose wisdom over power. Instead of rushing to claim the precursor's knowledge, we proved we understood why some secrets should remain buried until they can be handled responsibly." Soren nodded, then opened a channel to Earth's unified command. "This is Commander Drake. I need immediate authorization for Protocol Omega. Authentication code, Delta 79 Echo 0. Walsh's eyes widened. "Sir, that protocol, it would shut down every archaeological site on Earth. Years of research lost." "Better than losing everything," Soren replied firmly. He turned to Nexthra. "I'm choosing to close the door, at least for now. Humanity needs time to grow, to mature. We're not ready for what's in those chambers." For the first time, something like true respect showed in the alien warrior's expression. "And with that choice, Commander Drake, you prove your species may yet be worthy of the precursor's legacy when the time is right." As Protocol Omega activated, the ancient chambers across Earth began powering down. The symbols faded, the otherworldly energies dissipated, and the gates to knowledge beyond human understanding slowly closed. "Energy levels dropping worldwide," Walsh reported, relief evident in her voice. "The chambers are returning to dormancy." Nexthra's massive form moved to the observation window, watching as the web of Valdari ships began to disperse. "Your choice will not be popular among your people, Commander. Many will say you denied humanity its destiny." "Maybe," Soren acknowledged, joining the warrior at the window. "But better they're alive to complain about it. The records showed what happens to species who try to run before they can walk." The alien warrior's armor had settled into a more relaxed configuration. Its earlier aggressive edge softened. "The Valdari spent generations debating our own choice to wait. Even now, there are those among us who believe we should have claimed everything the precursors offered." "And yet you're still here," Soren noted, "unlike the others we saw in those records." "We are," Nexthra confirmed. "And now we serve as guardians, watching for other species who might be ready to join us in this understanding." Walsh approached, holding a data pad. Final reports confirmed, sir. All chambers are secure, though the scientific community is already demanding explanations. Soren smiled grimly. They'll have to settle for the truth humanity needs to earn its advancement, not inherit it. Your wisdom does your species credit, Nexthra said, turning to face them fully. The Valdari Dominion extends an offer not of precursor knowledge, but of partnership. Let us help guide humanity's natural development, sharing what we have learned about walking the path of measured progress. The commander considered this, a mentor rather than a benefactor. Precisely. The strongest foundations are built stone by stone, not gifted fully formed. Soren extended his hand, a very human gesture of agreement. After a moment's consideration, Nexthra's massive, clawed hand enclosed it. I must warn you, the warrior rumbled. Not all species share our patience. There are those who would take what the chambers offer by force, regardless of consequences. Then humanity will face those challenges as they come, Soren replied firmly. And we'll do it on our own merit, not with borrowed power we haven't earned. As the Valdari ships prepared to depart, Soren watched the Earth rotating below. The chambers would remain, their secrets waiting for a time when humanity was truly ready. But for now, they had chosen a different path, one of earned wisdom over gifted knowledge. Commander, Walsh said softly, do you think we made the right choice? Soren thought of the civilizations they'd seen in the precursor records, brilliant stars that had flared too bright too quickly, only to burn out in spectacular fashion. We made the human choice, he answered. Not the easiest one or the most impressive one, but the right one for who we are now. And sometimes, knowing when to walk away is the greatest strength of all. Nexthra's ships vanished into the darkness of space, leaving humanity to forge its own path forward. The chambers would sleep, their secrets preserved for a future when mankind could handle them responsibly. And in choosing patience over power, humanity had proven itself worthy of that future, whenever it might come.